Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with another episode of our Waterfall, Junk Journal Waterfall Ephemera series. I wanted to get to doing a full page waterfall element, so that's what I'm going to show you today. I haven't done this exactly before. I've done full page in the past, but it was the really bulky kind where I was doing I didn't have a mechanism, I was just gluing hinged pieces down and it was like super bulky. So I'm going to show you how to use the technique and the mechanism that we've been using in the previous videos to make one that fills up almost an entire page. I'm throwing in also a pocket on the other page. So I'm going to be dumping this in the Waterfall Ephemera series as well as in the full page series because it meets both of those criteria. So I have my Fabri-Tac, which is going to be important, my white glue, which is what we'll be using to glue our pieces of paper on our mechanism, and my ink as usual. I do have my cutter over there and I'll bring that over when that is appropriate. So I've gathered too much stuff over here. I've got another project I'm working on that was stacked there. So this is what we're making. So this is using the Christmas Patisserie kit, and we've got our mechanism down here that pulls. But this one has 10 pages. They are wider, which I'll give you the dimensions when I show you the template. But you pull this little bit here. I didn't put any seam binding on there yet, but you pull it and you've got 10 pages front and back of waterfall writing space that is glorious, okay? And I thought, well, why not go ahead? I needed to put it on a page to show you how the mechanism works. So I went ahead and put a very large pocket over here on this side, and then this would be your journal page, so you could obviously sew that into your signature, decorate the front with something else when you get to that point, and then back as well. So that's the first sample. This is the second one that I did, and it is from the Vintage Nativity kit. And so we've got this beautiful image on the front and then on the back. I love that one so much. And it's the same exact thing. I've used some vintage music paper from my porch prints and made a large pocket there, and then this is an image from the Vintage Nativity kit, and again it's got that same mechanism, pulls down, boom boom boom. You've got, so not only do you have 10 spaces front and back, you also have all of this that could be written on, and the back if you so chose. If you wanted to, well, you couldn't probably turn it over, that might be tricky, but you might be able to figure it out. So that is that. So this is our template. I neglected to show you the measurements for the journal page size that I'm using. So my journal pages are 5 1/4 by 8 1/4. So I will highlight that with some black pen for the photos, but it's 5 1/4 inches here, 8 1/4 inches high. So the pocket measures 5 1/4 inches wide and 8 1/2 inches tall. That's allowing for a 1/4 inch gusset on the top and the bottom and on the inside edge. I've notched it, and then our waterfall pieces, as I mentioned, there are 10 of them. They measure 4 3/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall, and our mechanism is, which I just called it the wraparound mechanism. It is what actually, so both mechanisms are important, one being the base here, which will make more sense when we get there, when I show you the pieces. But this measures and it's also could be called a belly band mechanism. It's 1 inch wide by 10 1/2 inches long, okay? And then our full mechanism, so this piece here is doubled, okay? So you can see here, you've got two pieces. So the total length of that is 15 1/2, and it is 5 inches wide. So we've got a little bit of a, this is the mechanism, which is this piece, is 5 inches, and the waterfall elements are 4 3/4. So we got a slightly smaller size. Okay, so that's what we're going to make. I'm going to leave that open over there, and I'm going to be using the what was this kit? Let me look over at my stack here. This is the North Pole kit from Pink Monarch Prints, and I keep raving about them because I'm having such a blast using their stuff. So I have already pre-cut all of my waterfall pieces. So again, these measure, I'm just going to show you, these measure 4 3/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. Okay, so I've already done that. I will take time and round the corners and ink them off camera, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. This is our pocket. So I've already cut that down, and again, that is 5 1/4 inches wide and 8 1/2 inches tall. 1/4 inch gusset on the top, this side, and the bottom. And then this is our mechanism. So it is 1 inches. It should be 1 inch by 10 1/2. It looks like it's a little bit longer. It looks like this one's 10 3/4. I'm not sure what I did, but you can always cut off the excess if you do get too much. Okay, this would be our journal page, and so we're kind of basing all of our papers around this this design and these colors. We got a little bit of pink, some green, we've got some Christmas trees, some black elements, which I really love about this kit. It just makes a really beautiful contrast when you're creating with these papers. So I'm going to go ahead and start with just folding that in half. And we should end up with 5 1/4, but I'll show you that in a second. Let me just grab my bone folder. It is Thursday afternoon. I just walked in from work. I just needed to get this video done because, again, I'm going to be gone Friday, leaving tomorrow early afternoon. I'm getting off about 11, meeting my daughter and driving to Cannon Beach, and we'll be staying overnight and coming back, but I'll come home to a full house of people as all the local grandkids will be here to decorate our Christmas tree. So that's going to be a busy, busy thing. So yeah, 5 1/4 inches wide. Okay. Oh, I don't have the pieces for I didn't even get the pieces for the mechanism. What did I do? So I'll have to, that is so weird. I will pause and grab those. In fact, let me just do that now. How silly is that? I must have, okay, I have no idea how that happened, but I just decided to go ahead and go with this green. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to cut all the white borders off of this, and I'm going to cut this down to 5 inches, and then we'll glue both of these pages together to come up with our longer length. So give me just a second to do that. Okay, there we go. We won't need that. Well, we will need it just to make a score line. So my apologies. So we've got 2 pieces. I'm going to make one. I'm just going to pick either one. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to make a 1/4 inch score line on one end. Okay, that's going to allow us to hinge these together, as you really need that really long piece of paper, and it's 15, by the time we cut it all down, it's 15 1/2 inches long in total length. So there's that. And then what we're going to do when we glue this on, we're going to make sure that that's folded down, and it's going to get glued here so that we've got that hinge on the inside of the mechanism, okay? And that's kind of important because you don't want to visually see that. So I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac just so that I can move it around and get it nice and straight. It is important that these pieces are fairly straight. So then I'm just going to line that up with the top, and I'm looking at the sides as well. And I'm going to pick it up right away and just give it a tap tap, okay? Because that's going to help me make sure that the sides are all even, okay? Tap tap. Fabri-Tac is your friend in this case. So you can see we're now, whoops, it's a little bit crooked. What happened? What happened? There we go. So we might set this aside and let it dry a bit, but you can see we've got a little bit extra, but that's because of the gusset that we just, or the hinge that we just did. So I'm going to open that up and let that get nice and dry. So while that's going on, we're going to go ahead and work on our base. So I'm going to go ahead and have this be the front of the journal page, so I'm not going to do anything with that other than I am going to round my corners. So I'm going to use my 10 millimeter, and I'm going to round all 4 corners, and then we'll try to ink everything. I'll try to ink most of this up at one time before we assemble, so I'm not popping back and forth between inking and other things. Okay, so that's our journal page, and then this was our pocket, so we can work on this. So I'm going to bring the score tool over, and obviously if this was directional, you'd want to be checking your directions to make sure that it's going the right direction that you want it to go. But I'm going to go ahead and do a 1/4 inch score line there, one on this end, And then we'll flip it completely around and do one more on the other end. So we're going to flip, rotate it all the way around, and I'll show you the back of this so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can probably see on camera, we've got a score line here, here, and here. So we're going to miter those corners just because that helps with the folding. I am taking my new camera to Cannon Beach. We're going to watch the king waves, the king tides rather. It makes me a little nervous because that's big water, but we're going to be inside. We're going to be able to see it from the comfort of our room. So I'm very excited to hang out with my daughter. I wish that was something that I could do with both of my daughters, but you know, my older daughter is a very, very busy lady. She's got two teenagers and a younger one, and I also feel like it's important to just have that one-on-one time with our family members, our kids. Although she's not a kid, they're not kids anymore. My son will be, Jeremy will be 41 in a few days. Wow. It is the 4th, so on the 7th. His birthday's on the 7th. He was born on Pearl Harbor Day. He was born at 12 o'clock midnight between the 6th and the 7th, and we got to pick which day we wanted to be his birthday, so we deliberately picked Pearl Harbor Day, so that was really cool. And he did end up growing up and going in the military and proudly serving and all of that jazz. So that is our pocket. Okay, now I want to do a thumb notch, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over, and I'm going to find the center, and I'm just going to mark it. This is my the hinged edge, and so I want to mark this edge. Excuse me. It was a hard work day. I do not mind saying it was a hard work day. My back is still extremely sore. It's very, very hard to sit and to get up and down off the floor, which we do a lot with our students. I mean, it doesn't hurt when I'm walking or standing, as long as I'm not standing in one place for too long. So it's been a long week for that reason, pretty much. So when this goes in here, we're not going to glue it in yet because we got to do a bunch of inking, and we'll round those edges, but that's going to go over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and round them. You do have to make sure if you're rounding through all this, you're going through actually 3 layers of the paper, and this is 65-pound paper, so you do want to make sure it's squished down as good as you can get it. So I did give that a good burnish. So all 4 corners, I like those rounded edges at times. So that's all ready to go as well, but we're not going to do that yet because I want to show you the mechanism. I think it's ready to rock and roll. Okay, so we don't need to worry about cutting anything off right now because it's not going to go anywhere, and we can cut it off when we're done. So I do want to ink this top edge because that tells me what my ultimate top fold is. Okay, and we'll round those corners too in a little bit. So once you have that line inked, you're gonna do your scoring on one side of it. Sorry, that didn't make any sense. So obviously this is not directional, so I could turn and do it this way. Does not matter. I'm just going to start here. I need to move that ink. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I'm lining up this inked edge, that's our fold, with the 1/2 inch mark on my cutter, my score tool here, and I'm going to go ahead and make my first score line. I'm going to do 11 score lines all together, so I'm going to count those through with you. Okay, 1, 2. I'm going to ink one of, this paper is hard. I'm going to turn it over and do the other side. My apologies. It can be hard to see those lines on that print, so I'm going to just turn it over. So this is score line 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we will fold it from the other side though, so that's what we need. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to just start doing my folding. Okay, I know it's 1/2 inch down from there, so that's my first score line. Try to get this to be straight if you can, to give it that first soft press. Okay. All right. All right. Yep. So I'm going to just do this. I'm not going to speed it up, but I'm not going to chat through the whole thing. We are nearing the end of the waterfall series. I still do want to do a horizontal one for you guys, but I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that. So I'm bringing my ink back over, and you've seen this if you've watched the other videos. I just am inking the middle of that, just so that I can see when I'm gluing my papers down where I'm lining it up to. So I hope that makes some sense. But I think we're going to move on to another kind of series. I'm not sure what. I was thinking it would be fun to do, you know, ways to do envelopes. We could do a pocket series. We could do a hidden journaling spot kind of ephemera. Still working on some ideas for tip-ins. I didn't really exhaust my idea list yet, so we'll continue with that. But I am slowing down on the waterfall ephemera, so you guys can play around. I also might do another one. I wanted to do one on a pocket. Thought that would be fun. So we'll see. So those are all my score lines inked. So just count that you have enough. You should have 10 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces. We're not putting anything there at that with that 1/2 inch area right here. Not going to put anything there. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to be off camera. I'm going to be rounding the edges of these. I'm just making sure that it's going the right direction. The 4 3/4 inches is the width. So I'm going to turn these this way so I don't get confused. And then I'm going to ink up all of those, round the corners, ink it up, front and back, ink up our pocket, ink up our front and back of our journal page, and I'll be right back. Okay, all of our waterfall pieces are inked up. And so let's talk about the order. So it all depends on what visually you like. So we've got 5 different types of paper. So we've got these and these. So I like to break up the color. So I think I would actually like to use this on the front. Do I? No, I actually want this one. So we're going to go like this. And you can do this in whatever order you like. And I want to kind of keep some of the black stuff together. Sorry, I was a little off camera there. Kind of given up on the DSLR camera this week. I've just been utterly buried and just trying to keep my head above water. So I'll approach that again next week and see if I can make some progress so we can get us up and running. Oops, uh-oh. I missed one. I need to stick this one in here. The Christmas tree. And then this one. And then this one. I'm going in the same order. Just a pattern here. And then this one. And this one. So then let them all squish together. And then we're going to turn them over because we want to go from bottom to top. So I'm going to put those right there. We're going to bring our element back over. We'll ink the edges. Actually, I want to ink the edges that I know are going to remain. I won't ink all the way to the bottom or round any corners yet. So let me do that. I should have done that while I was inking the papers because I found that it was a little bit difficult to get into some spots once everything was glued on. So let's just do this. So how are you guys doing in your this Christmas month. Are you ready, getting ready for the holidays? Are you a early shopper or a late bloomer? I do most of my shopping online. I do not like the crowds, and I do not like the stores, and I do not like the overall consumerism of the holiday season. So I like to shop online, where I can just peruse things and get what I need. And of course, you know, I've got my grandkids are all teenagers but one, so they just create lists, and I want to get them what they want. So I don't, you know, I do throw my own ideas in, but generally speaking, I get them what's on their list. So that was a little bit weird. I've got a weird edge there, but it is okay. Okay, so there we go. So we're ready for our waterfall elements. So we're going to be using our white glue, as I mentioned. And these are, as I talked about, they are not quite as wide as the base here, the mechanism. So I'm going to try to center it there. I think I'm going to start with Fabri-Tac just on this first one, because I do need to move it to line it up from side to side. After that, we'll have a guide on the side, which will make more sense in a sec. So this helps just to get going. So I'm going to just turn this sideways for my own ability to get this straight. And then I will pick it up, because sometimes when you pick something up like this, you can kind of see if it's even Steven. So that looks pretty good. Feels like we're a little bit over here. If this was white glue, I'd be done. See how that just moved? So that's the beauty of Fabri-Tac on that first go. So just make sure you like it that way, and it's not floating one way more than the other, which it seems to be a little bit tipped. Okay, eventually you have to give up and just call it, you know, but now we're going to do the rest of them with the white glue. So now I know that my borders are here and here, so I can just go to town. Okay, keeping that. Why is that so runny? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Why is this exploding out? That was weird. Must have had a little bit of a plug or something. I'm going to try to get some of that off. That's a lot of glue. Just reach for a towel here. Interesting. Okay, so we're on to the next piece. And I think, I'm not going to speed this part up, guys, but I am going to turn on the music for you. So just continuing on, as I put these down, I'm making sure that my edges are straight so that they're it's lined up with the piece that's underneath it. So that looks really, really good. Looks nice and straight. I did realize I did not get a piece of paper to go on the, well, I don't have to because we've got an image, but I do want to decorate it a little bit with you. So I'll see if I can grab the fussy cut bits when we get to there, and I'll show you how I would just decorate that top waterfall element. So I usually will pick a more neutral image to go on the top. That's just my preference. You can do what you like. You could also make these just a solid color and then put photos on them. I know that people use journals for all kinds of reasons. So you could totally, you know, kind of make it an album, a waterfall album kind of thing. Totally up to you. So just finishing up. I'm hoping that's not my husband. Here, a vehicle. My car was taken into the dealership last night for just a regular maintenance, and there's stuff wrong with it, and there was a lot of miscommunication with the dealership, and I was at work, and I specifically told them I can't take a call at work. I can't call you when I'm at work. Text messaging is the best method because I'm with students, and they wouldn't resolve it until I called them, and it was really frustrating. So we have to go pick it up, and they weren't able to service the problems because apparently they need a part. So it's like, so we have to go, long story short, we have to go pick up the car tonight. So, not a big deal. I mean, I'm not, it's just frustrating when things go like that. I was trying to explain to the guy, you know, that I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but I can't talk to him while I'm at work. And by the time they notified me that they had evaluated it, I had already had my morning break, so I can't just like run away again. So look at that. Isn't that so cool? I love it. I think we're done with our white glue, so let me just cap that up if I can find the hole. And so now we're going to go ahead and round those top corners. If you like that, if you don't, you can skip that. I'm just going to round those, and then I'm going to bring our piece over, and we're going to look at where we want to cut this off. So we need our journal page. We're going to go on the inside like so. And I just kind of go like this, line it up to whatever base you're gluing it to. We're going to also have to, we're not gluing this down, just to be clear. Don't jump ahead and glue this down because that's not what we're doing. So I'm going to move this down just to, well, I'm going to actually keep it up a little bit higher on this one so that there's about the same distance all the way around the piece. So it's a little bit hard to see here because of that bit. So I'm going to go about right there, and I'm just going to cut that bottom off. And you're going to be cutting through both of the layers, okay? Just make sure that it's nice and straight when you do this. Okay, boom, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and round these corners as well. I do kind of pinch this so that I get them, they stay lined up, because this is a mechanism, so it's going to move. Okay, let's go ahead and ink that. I do like to go back inside of it because when you cut, you lose that previous glue line. So let me, oh, I didn't get this edge. What? Why didn't you tell me? No, I was off camera when I did that. You couldn't tell me. Well, it's okay. It's not like you're going to be looking at all of this back at any point in time, because it's the belly band part, the mechanism is going to be glued down. So there we go. Okay. So now we need to work on our mechanism before we put it on our page. So let's bring that over. And I'm going to start by just inking the full edge, just the edges here, and then we'll just go through this kind of step by step. And it'll make sense. If you haven't watched the previous videos, this one should do it for you. Sometimes because I've done it so many times, I forget details, so I do apologize if that has happened in other videos, but this one is pretty detailed. So you're going to take this, it's going to actually go underneath your bottom waterfall, on top of the first part of this. So this is part of that folded long piece that we had. So I'm going to put that down like that, okay? And then what I like to do is just make a pencil mark so I know where to score this. So I'm going to make a pencil mark there and a pencil mark there. I don't want that mechanism to be too tight. And I'm going to bring over our score tool again. I'm going to score on both of those pencil lines. Oops, Sorry if that's off the table there. There. And I like to turn it around. I like to work with more on my left side. And there. That felt weird. Okay. So now you're going to just fold this. We'll be able to ink all the rest of all the front of this, but we're going to actually turn this inside. Well, let's just do that as we go, just for a linear experience here. So then you're going to turn it over, bend it the opposite way, because we're going to actually be putting glue on this part of the inside. And again, that's going to make sense when you see the mechanism. So we're going to put glue here, and we're going to turn it over and put it back into place on our waterfall element, our waterfall base, sorry. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac just in case I need to move it around, which does mean you have to be a little more patient before activating that mechanism. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to open that up. And I'm just going to lift that bottom one. It doesn't matter what level you put this on. I have varied it. I'm just going to put it about right there. Make sure you don't get any glue. This is hard. Any glue on that other page that it's touching. Okay, I'm going to scooch that over. I know this is kind of hard to see on camera because the waterfall pieces are in the way, but let me hold it up for you so you can see what I mean. Okay, so here it is. So this is the part of this. This is our 15.5 inch piece, and so this is the front side of it. And I've glued the base tea stain part side down, and then I've glued that on. Okay, and now what's going to happen is we're going to go ahead and turn this over, and we're going to fold this, and we're going to fold this and let them meet. They're going to kiss a little bit here. Let me just grab that white glue again, just because I want a fast adhesion here. Okay, and then we're just going to close that up. Boom, we're almost done, guys. Not bad for a somewhat complex. It can feel complex, which is why I can't figure out the horizontal one, because I'm not sure how the mechanism, I have to get that in my mind. I've told you guys many times I don't really do things that are sideways, backwards, upside down very well. I have to think really hard about it. So when we glue this on, we're only gluing this belly, that we're only putting glue on here, okay? We're not putting glue down here because that will make the mechanism not work. So we're going to put glue here and we're going to put it on this surface. We're going to use our Fabri-Tac because we want to be able to move it if we need to get it straight, okay? So just putting Fabri-Tac, don't get too much that it's going to go over that edge, Renee. Okay, so I'm going to turn this just because I need to see more of the landscape here. I know the distance from side to side, but I'm not sure about the distance from top to bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just place that down right about there. And again, as I often say, perfection is not at play in my studio. So don't worry if something is not perfect. Perfection will starve you of your joy. So I encourage you to just let it go if you can, okay? And then go ahead and just push that. It will move if you're using Fabri-Tac, so be careful of that. And I am going to make sure, well, I guess we're okay. We're going to let that sit for just a second while we glue this pocket on. We're going to cut a whale tail punch, which I did not do. I knew I didn't prepare anything for this. I'll decorate this off camera and do a couple cards to go in there, but this is going to go on here. I'm going to use my white glue. Where did you put it, Renee? Ah, there it is. White glue. So we're going to just put that on those gussets. Kind of act like a hinge. And the reason why I like to do this is because they give you don't lose any landscape from your glue lines, which you do if you do not do what I consider to be a gusset. I think that's the right language. So there we go. Okay, pick that baby up. And we're going to turn this. And I'm going to try to get it straight. This is white glue, so I don't have as much time to to mess around. So that looks pretty darn good. So massive amount of writing space in this small little area. Okay, if you look at this, you've got 10 and 10.5 inches here in total, and that's a lot of space for writing in terms of stuff that will go in here and all of your flips. So while that's drying, and before we do that whale tail tab, I'm going to bring a piece up here. Let's find a piece of paper for, I think I'll bring in the black because I like that contrast. So let me bring in that piece, and then we need, what did we need? Oh, the ephemera. So give me just a second. I'm going to get the ephemera pouches for this kit. So I actually think I have some of these kits mixed up, so I'm having trouble finding the images that go with this kit. So let's see if we can use something here. My apologies, guys. I was working my tail off last night, right up until bedtime, getting everything ready. And so I forgot to grab something to decorate this with. So I do want to do this with you. So give me just a sec. I'm going to fussy cut out this one with the trees and the Noel and the Joy. Okay, I was thinking that maybe we could put this tag here and then just put this element on top of it. Like so, maybe like that. Yeah, I like it. I'm not going to make it a pocket or anything, but I am going to kind of follow. I want that to be out a little bit further. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of visually estimate that and make a little bit of a glue line there. And I'm going to go ahead and apply some Fabri-Tac here. I must have that ephemera somewhere because there was not really much in my container here of ephemera for what I know is part of this North Pole kit. Although the North Pole papers came in several pieces, so I could have it all here, and they might just be different parts of the kit that are separate. So I'm going to go about right there, making sure that I don't have any glue coming over here. Nope. Okay. I'll ink the other side of that at a later point. Make sure it's straight. It looks pretty darn good, Cara-Renee. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put this on top, and I'll put a word or something on it later. But I'm actually thinking I might like to do that right there, or should it be in the middle? I actually think it should be in the middle-ish. In the middle-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect, so let's just get this baby on so we can finish up the show here. My husband will be driving in. He has not arrived, and we need to go get the car. So I think I'm going to try to aim for the center. I think that looks about right. I want to see that green underneath, so we'll do that, and we'll get some other bits on there, but I just don't know at the moment. And I'll also do something to decorate that. Usually I like to try to split it with another piece of paper, like maybe bring the pink into this or bring in the green or something or other. But I do want to show you this. So I'm hoping that this is going the right direction for a whale tail tab. It is. So we're going to go ahead and punch one, and I'm going to show you how that goes on the mechanism here. It's an important part, because you want to have something to grab there, and so that that back piece doesn't kind of disappear on you, because this is going to be attached to the back piece of our 15.5 inch piece of paper that's part of this mechanism. So, oh, that is sideways. Oh, bummer. I was thinking when it's like that it would not be, but clearly is. It's okay. It's all good. So I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to pull out the bottom. Okay, the bottom. Boom. There's our mechanism. Now I don't like this one as much because I feel like you lose writing space, but you still have 10 full pieces of this for writing, which I think is just amazing. So I'm going to find the middle of this because I do want it to be somewhat centered. So it should be 5 inches wide, so 2.5. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach this. It is sideways, but I don't care. At this point, I don't care. which one is the least obvious. Oh goodness. It was a long day, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that on there. And it does have to go pretty deep because you don't have a lot of room at the bottom to attach this or have it stick out. So I'm going to go about there. And then what will happen is I'll punch a hole there and put an eyelet on there. But I do like to put it back on here and see if I can make sure it's pretty straight. So using the Fabri-Tac again allows you that ability to move it. So I'm going to carefully push this back in just so you can see what it looks like sticking out. So make sure it doesn't hang up there. Once you do it the first time, it won't. And I'll put an eyelet on here, and again, I'll decorate this. But that is our project for today. Thank you, Anna. And I'm so sorry I cannot remember your daughter's name. I watch her constantly. Thank you for creating such amazing, beautiful digitals. I absolutely love them. They bring me joy, and that's very important to me in my creative journey. So I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.